Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Let's start today's video.
This laptop you see is the new one I actually use. In addition to the laptop I am using now, there is an old laptop that I used in the past. It's an old one that's stuck in the corner of the room because it hasn't been used. And when I bought it in 2014. So, since it was a computer that cost about $320 7 years ago, it is actually difficult to use these days. It's unreasonable, but the concept I'm trying to cover in the video these days is that I want to show you that this old laptop can be used enough for any kind of research or engineering. And I want to tell you about the spirit of a true digital nomad. So I decided to make this project got started. To revive an old laptop. What I did to a 7-year-old laptop I bought in 2014 was that it had a hard disk attached to it. I took it off and installed an SSD, or solid-state drive. So I did a speed-up once. Then I originally had 4 GB of RAM here. But I added an additional 4 GB and now it's 8 GB of RAM. In other words, if you have 8 RAM and an SSD, you can save a computer you bought 7 years ago. Now, if I'm going to install something here, I'm going to install Linux. Okay, let's try it. Now, once you enter Lubuntu.net, then select the operating system. Intel x86 or AMD 64 here. In my case it would be AMD 64. Now, let's get the download right away. But personally, I always prefer the older version, which is more stable than the latest version. So I rather click the download button separately, and then if you look here, click other images and download location. I have to find the old version. And there is the old version. I like the old version. Well, I always use these things. I like the old version that I'm familiar with more than the new version. I will download this. Is this for 64-bit AMD 64? I'll try to download this. Click now. Download started. Now, it says to wait about 25 minutes. Now, if Linux is all downloaded, go to the homepage of pendrivelinux.com and download. Something called the Universal USB Installer. What does this do? As you can see, I put the downloaded Linux image ISO file into a USB thumb drive and make it bootable from USB. In the past, when installing Linux, I used to burn a bootable DVD and boot and installed it. But these days I just make a bootable disk on a USB and boot from the USB and install it. So here's the download link for Universal USB Installer. Just download. Now, I prepared a USB thumb drive. I'm just going to make a Linux boot disk from the 8 GB I have at home. I plugged it in. Plug it in like this. Now, run the Universal USB Installer. Well, here I am now choosing Lubuntu. Lubuntu. Now select Lubuntu and put the path of the ISO image. You just download it here. Now, it is better to select the USB thumb drive and then format it as FAT32. Format it. Then select Erase everything on the disk. Then, an installer that can install bootable Linux on a USB thumb drive will be installed. And this is about 4 GB in moderation. This seems to be a function that makes it possible to save some on the boot disk. Now let's create a boot disk by creating it. Yes. So, it means to erase the USB. Click Yes to start. Now just wait. It takes a long time. Now, you can plug in the boot disk you just created. Now, let's boot from USB. So, in the end, I will install Linux with this boot disk. Now, I'm booted into Linux now. It's booted up. So if you look here, I'll do a try first. And then try to install it while booting this USB. I'll try it. I hit enter, then now. It boots into Linux. So, let's check if it becomes a mouse first. Mouse works fine. If you see here, you can click Install Lubuntu to start the installation. Right now booting is from USB. Now, before installing, the important thing is that if you look here, you need to set up the network first. I am not connected to Wi-Fi right now. I need to connect to Wi-Fi first. So if you look here, there are several Wi-Fi networks. Here, you can find your own wireless network and connect to the Wi-Fi now. Then I'll click Install Lubuntu. I'll install it. Please wait for a while. First, the language setting appears, but I unconditionally set it to English. I like to do all of this in English. Because to meet the world and open communication with the world, you always have to set everything in English. I'm installing English with continue. I'm installing it like this. After that, now, download and install the update. Click OK for all of them, and then continue. Now, there are several installation options, but in fact, Ubuntu was already installed on this computer. But now I'm pushing away all the options I want to do. Erase disk and install Lubuntu. So I format the existing hard drive and reinstall everything. And what does this encrypt? Well, actually, not doing such an important project. I'll just install Lubuntu on the image disk. And I will start installing from Install Now. Oh, and then it just asks about the disk partition. I'm just going to format it anyway. So I'll just follow the recommendations. Now, the installation has started. You can set the next time period. He lives in Silicon Valley in San Jose right now. But it's just set to LA by default. But since it's the same time zone I'll just accept it. Then click Continue to continue installing. And what about the keyboard? I will continue to use the English keyboard. Now let's install it in English. Now, you can give a user name here. Well, I'll use gosu.gs. GSGSN. The computer name. After here as short. Now, the password here can be entered by yourself. And every time you log in, you need a password or security. If you need it. It doesn't really matter. I will auto-log in. Here, you can enter your password and continue. Now, as you can see, the installation is complete. So you can restart now here. But before that, now I have to remove this USB. I'll have to remove it and restart. So after pressing restart, now, the moment it turns off, I will try to remove this. Now, if it boots to its own hard drive without USB, you're done. So, it booted. Up. Now the installation of Lubuntu is complete. That's it. Now, the operating system has been installed. Even on a 7-year-old laptop. Lubuntu is such a lightweight Linux, that it runs very fast. So it's a great way to save an old laptop from dying. I hope it was helpful. Please press like and subscribe. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching my video. I really hope you enjoy my content. Thank you. See you later.